Okay, pardon me, a bit husky in the voice, been talking too much. Say no to Islam and yes to Jesus. That's the theme of the day. My name is Rob Beasley, and I make it my intention to do my very best to close down Islam. And I think I've got good evidence to state the case why it should be shut down. So what I'm going to do is just don't interfere. Don't start that shit. I told you. Don't have me going back talking about it. Can't get fucked, Tempest Kitty. Righto, no more time for bullshit artists, two-faced cats. Now we're live, so what will we do? Oh, there we go. Okay, this is what I want to look at. So, this is what we're going to look at, just to have a bit of a study of some bullshit psychology and see if we can't nut it out. So, this is something that there's a prick called Shadow on the internet, and I'm fucking going to hunt him down. I've already had to talk to him, and I promise you he talks a load of bollocks in terms of intellectual stuff, and so that's not appropriate. So now he becomes a pet project. In Jungian psychology, so in other words, a description of, now psychology is just sort of like a philosophy. There's no, it's not necessarily any base in reality. So there's this immediate disconnect. The shadow or shadow aspect may refer to, so that's a worry already. This fucking intellectual stuff is just so full of shit. I suppose what I should do is put up psychology explained in its simplest forms and its most accurate. So inside every human, there are two survival instincts. I don't know what the physical reality, but it must be physical. It must be something there. So it's a part of the design of the human. These two instincts are inside every human, and basically they are the ultimate determination and absolute determination of morality, this thing called morality. One survival instinct is about survival of the self and protection of the self, and the other survival instinct relates to survival of the herd. We collect data and contextual information about a given moment, slice in time, moment called the now, through our senses, and then that data is passed into the body, and as it's traveling into the body, it passes by this ever-watching self-survival instinct. Now, based on the context and the information coming on board, the self-survival instinct will fire up and potentially corrupt the data that's coming on board, so that the data that's then taken into memory to represent reality is inaccurate in terms of its relationship to reality. So it's a false set of information, and it's caused by this self-survival instinct. So that is absolutely accurate to what goes on, and it can be validated by some external measures. It's those faulty sets of, and sorry, because the original data is still there, we have now a copy of the false and true state of a given event at any point in time. Now, false and true state at any time. Now, the false state is represented as reality, right? As the alleged truth, and it's the collection of all of these false, over time, of all these false representations of reality that forms what's known as the ego, and that is the only definition of ego. That's it. There isn't anything more complex. Yeah, and I think that'll do. Oh, so we've got the other herd instinct. So when there's no interference, the true set of data basically gets related to the other survival instinct. Not quite sure about how but that's definitely what happens. And so that information that directly relates to reality then relates to the phenomenon known as enlightenment. Yeah, that'll do for now. Oh my goodness. Oh, it's only boobies. All right. So that's that. You know, I mean, it sounds ridiculously simple, but that is the actual mechanism. So it's these false notions of ideas of reality stored in a collection that actually are the ego. The ego isn't anything else. There's no other components of the ego. So any other shit that they talk about, it's not true. So in Jungian, what the hell's that? Right, that's that. In Jungian psychology, I don't like any of that. This crap. Too wordy, too over the top, and too hard to probably bloody decode. The shadow or the shadow aspect may refer to an unconscious. Now, you got the term may, so even the wording of it starts to be ambiguous. In my definition of the ego, and which is an absolute and accurate definition, the information coming on board is absolute. It passes by this survival instinct. The survival instinct reacts to the context and the information as it goes through. And what it does is it corrupts the data, and therefore you have this error. And that's all that occurs. It's quite absolute, quite, there's no ambiguity whatsoever. But this Jungian psychology may refer to an unconscious, so in other words, non-aware aspect of the personality which the conscious ego does not identify in itself. Oh dear, oh dear. All right, let's try and break it down. The shadow or shadow aspect may refer to an unconscious I got this bulldog prick watching. Where trolls are winning, he's saying. Nah, you ain't. You can't win. It's impossible. So, girls, it's impossible. What I'm doing now is just taking a bit of a breather from you turkeys, just to try and think this through and see how I can break it down. But my golly, talk about a load of shit. So the shadow or shadow aspect may refer to an unconscious So when we talk about unconscious, we're talking about functionality that's not related to the brains, because the brain should be ever conscious. An unconscious aspect of the personality This is terrible fucking shit. Which the conscious ego does not identify in itself. Well, I know materially what the ego is, so what is these collection of data, I know how that's formed. But I don't get the unconscious. So the unconscious aspect, yeah, this is working. This will work. And this is why it pissed me on to entertaining these guys. And then when you bring it back to them and prove them wrong, they say, oh, no. So it becomes a complete waste of time. We've got 4 viewers. What I'm going to be doing, viewers, if there are reasonable humans out there and not trolls, and I'm actually going to do it too now, I think it's possible. I'm going to tear down this shadow psychology and prove demonstratively, see if I can set up a test to demonstratively prove where it's wrong. But I can already see where it's wrong. Okay, so boop, boop. Okay, so there's a real number of problems here to make this a poorly worded document. What I'll do is I'm going to state the true case, which I know, in the simplest terms. So data coming on board, I don't need that, just the error state. So we'll say the ego is a collection of false So the ego is a collection of sensory data that have been corrupted by the self-survival instinct. And that's it. There's nothing more to it than that. That's a complete definition. And it's absolutely 100% accurate. But to entertain this fucking moron vulture, hang on, self-survival. There we are. Self-survival instinct. So the ego is a collection of sensory data that have been corrupted by the self-survival instinct. This data includes true set of data, true set of sensory data. That works perfectly. Okay, now that's what specifically the ego is. So they're saying the shadow or shadow aspect, I couldn't give a fuck about either one. So the shadow may, so there's a question mark on may, so they're not definitive in their findings. So shadow pardon me, may or may, John fucking may or may not. Hello, you all right? That's right. What? All right. Okay, may, so the shadow may or may not. Now that's a fucking immediate problem, and that prick's gonna have to answer to that, and he won't know the answer. So all his intellectual abilities are based on fucking crap I'll back at him. So it may refer to an unconscious, so that's may or may not refer to. Let's think about the shadow may or may not refer to an unconscious aspect. So that's sort of like a label. So it may or may not label, but the key then is an unconscious aspect, unconscious aspect. An unconscious aspect of the personality. So, unconscious aspect of the personality. So, in my model, which is the fucking true state, we just, you know, we can speak about almost physical level, but very specific objects, independent and within their own right. Here, they're talking about really fluffy stuff. Refer to the unconscious aspect of the personality I reckon I've got enough to shoot this prick down already. Now, who is he? Not at all. Now, let's just stop screen sharing for a second. How are we, vultures? Jesus. Oh dear. Poor sick puppies. They have no idea what they do to themselves. Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Oh, I can. Who's this ticket? That's Mark. I annoy you, hooker and sexual pervert. Right, now let's see what's next. No, my position's not flawed, dear, not at all. It's 100% accurate. Oh, I got Serb in that crew. That's fine. That's fine. That's that. Okay, now back to this thing. Right, so fucking ridiculous shit. But anyway, got to deal with it, I suppose. Write this out. So, refer to unconscious aspect of the personality. Which the conscious ego does not identify in itself. Okay, so let's get that and think that through. See if we can structure some sort of sense of what they're trying to say. So the shadow may or may not refer to, so there's a question mark on the application, which means that if that's the case, you can't make any definitive conclusions, whereas in my model, you can make absolutely definitive. So this is this problem between Descartes and I am that I am, that premise all over again. So so the shadow, whatever the fuck that is, may or may not refer to unconscious. So this is what the shadow is. It's referring to, may or may not refer to unconscious aspects of the personality. So what the hell is the personality? Let me think that through. There. Okay, and now I've already got it. So I know what personality means. It's the broad spectrum of behaviors, basically, because there isn't anything else. Which the conscious ego, so we're talking about the unconscious aspect of the behaviors. So personality is an output driven, so it depends on which wolf you choose. And that leads to the behavioral outcomes. Mm-hmm. So personality is not really a concept. The behaviors that a person goes to form the personality. The shadow refers to an unconscious. So those are those two survival instincts. They are the primary elements that represent the unconscious aspect of the behaviors. Yeah, which the conscious ego does not identify in itself. Yeah, got it. Broken its back. Oh, hello, who's this? Oh, fuck. What do you want, dickhead?
Why do you insist on taking the lower road?
Ah, shut up. I'm just about to hit the hay for the night. So
Oh, that is okay.
If you haven't got anything worthwhile to say, you may as well piss off.
Well, it sounded like you needed help with Jungian ideas of mind.
No, I got it. I sorted it out.
It did not sound like you did.
No, you got to work it through. It's a lot of crap, but I've worked it out. I'll explain it to you just to show you that I do know what I'm on about. So Jungian psychology talks about this concept, right? So it's very conceptual, and this is the fucking major problem with it. And what I'll do is I'll relate that back to the true story, which is based on, the hard wiring and, more realistic than this fanciful bullshit. So what they do is they say the shadow effect may refer to may, right? So that's a fucking problem already. Means that they're not sure, or that they aren't able to properly define the range of options. So they save their ass by saying may. That's uncertainty. An unconscious aspect of the personality. Now, the unconscious aspect is to survive. They're the only unconscious aspect within the human form, because everything else is, in mind, or it's sensory data. Sensory data is unconscious too, and that pulls that data in, and then you've got the survival instincts. They're below mind, so they cannot, they function by themselves. The mind cannot control them. And this is why it's so easy, once you know this shit, to read human behavior, even just voice cues. So an unconscious aspect, right? So I can be more specific than this prick can. I can say exactly what those two unconscious forces are, those two survival strategies. Of the personality, well, personality is actually the collection of behavioral outcomes. So they're the outputs of what happens. So that the flow of the information is the data collection coming inbound with contextual data, comes in, it hits these instinctive things, and then if it's related to the true state or the good wolf or the herd instinct, then the data comes in accurately and sits in memory, perfectly accurately. But however, if the response or whatever it is engages the survival instinct for the self, it then fucks with the data, and you get a dual set, the original true state plus the new fucked up state that the mind perceives to be reality. So now we're out of sync with reality. And that then leads to the output of the behavior patterns, right, depending on which set of data, etc. And that's what these pricks call personality. Then it goes on to say which the conscious ego. Now there's no such thing as fucking conscious ego, or is there? Hang on a minute.
It is referring to the ego as part of the conscious mind.
Hang on, shut up. Yeah, I think conscious ego is like, well, see, ego is a very specific thing. It's just a bag full of these faulty notional ideas about reality that in aggregate form the individual's view of reality. That's why we get this feeling or false feeling of subjectivity across the population. It's not, but it's an errored state at the start. So which the consciousness, the conscious ego, I'm just trying to wrap my head around that and how they came up with that conclusion.
It's because the ego is conscious. The Jungian idea of mind, you have conscious and unconscious, and all the things fit in one of those two categories.
No, that's Cerebus.
That is an ignorant opinion.
Yeah, shut up. Which the conscious, just let me think about that and see, does not identify in itself. Okay, so I need to probably take that whole lot. Which the conscious ego, let's assume that that's the ego, forget the word conscious. Now, so yes, it has to be consciousness, because this is when we reflect on who I am, and there's that I am outbound, that little prick's, annoying the shit out of me. Well, he's not really. I've divorced him, sent him to the wolves. Which the conscious ego, so let's assume that that does not identify in itself, does not identify. Yeah, it's fucking all over the shop. It's I can tell you, I promise you, it's inaccurate. Just want to try and pin down the actual point. So may refer to the unconscious aspect. So I know what the unconscious element is of personality. That's the behaviors on the output, which the conscious ego. So that's the in-memory collection, and it's actually
Oh,
So
you're
an
talking about the
enlightened,
shadow self.
the shadow or shadow aspect. Okay, well that yeah, may refer. See, there's even that's terrible fucking research. They say may. In this world, everything's absolute. There is no fucking wishy-washy shit.
When they say
There's
may,
no,
they don't hint to the possibility of it being existing. They hint to the possibility that someone may refer to it as an unconscious aspect.
okay, so what you're saying is that the shadow aspect is an absolute, and
Well,
then
shadow
may
aspect is
refer.
just another name for the shadow self or the shadow, depending on who you're talking to.
Yeah. But what we're saying though, what you're saying, and I'm not sure whether you're right or not, but what you're saying is, or shadow aspect is some reality that may refer to. No, fuck, I'm right. The shadow aspect. So there's the label. So they said, hello, there's a shadow self or a shadow aspect. And that even the article's a bit crappy because the article should say the word self if that's what it's talking about because it's very ambiguous.
Please. The person who wrote this part of this page has looked at the diagram and misunderstood. The shadow self is not the unconscious side of the coin to the ego. It is an entirely separate thing.
Hey, dude, if you think for a fucking minute that this little game that this prick's thrown out by giving me this will enlighten me to an error in my position, you got another thing coming. So just so
I
you
don't
know,
think this was your position, was it?
this is bullshit.
So there
This
you
is
go. I
wrong.
enlightened to what it actually is.
Beg your pardon?
I enlightened you to what it actually is and not what that article is saying.
No, you haven't done nothing. You've
Okay, you need to
contributed.
know more information. What else is confusing for you?
No, it's not confusing. It's confusingly written. I'll work it out. It's just whether I want to bother tonight, and I'm getting close to it. Right, but I want to try and be definitive. But even if I see the other part of the thing is I need to debate whether I want to do this because when I give it back to you, ego bunnies, and I promise you, I'll fucking just drop it on the door and go because I'm going to manage you guys a lot tighter. Is whether I want to, whether I really, whether it's worth it. Because I've got plenty of things that are more substantive and spend my time, and I already know how the real story works, and it's far simpler than this shit. And I've done all the work to prove it in the live. That's what you bunnies have been basically my test lab.
I can summarize the shadow self for you in about 2 sentences if that would be okay.
Well, if you fuck around and play your stupid games, it'll be the last time I trust you.
Okay, the shadow self is everything about the self that the person does not like. So they bury it in their subconscious.
Okay, hold it there. That's actually interesting. Just say it again because I am engaged with that now.
The shadow self is everything that the person does not like about itself, and it buries it within its subconscious.
Nah.
It sets up like a barrier, a pocket in the mind, where it shoves all these things to forget.
Yeah. I got it. But that's actually bullshit. That really helped, actually. Now I know how to fucking make an idiot of that fucking shadow prick. Because I knew he's a false, I knew he was a false intellect. So can you say that again? So the shadow
self is the part of the mind in which people bury the unwanted aspects of themselves.
Shadow is the part of the mind, did you say?
Yes.
That the Shadow self is the part of the mind
which people bury the unwanted aspects of themselves.
Which, now I'm going to tell you what's wrong with it. That people have no idea that, so the shadow self is the part of that which people basically bury. What did you say, Doc? Store? Okay. But people basically bury the
unwanted aspects of self.
Unwanted aspects. I can promise you that's absolutely 1000% wrong. Let's see if we can say specifically what. That's actually brilliant. So I must thank you for that.
You are welcome.
Yeah, okay. Live the truth. Live the good life. So here's the shadow self. So we've got this concept of a collection of data, right? Because basically that's memory. You know, the brain stores data. So we've got a collection of data. It is the part of the mind. So shadow self. It's not the part of the mind at all. It's actually just a collection of data, more accurately.
But yes, it's a conceptual part of the mind, not a physical.
Yeah, no, but there's still a real reality, you know, and there's got to be, it's stores of memory. It's like in a computer, right? I mean, it looks all fluffy and duppy with your coding and your programming and all these layers of stuff. But right at the base, there is, so here the base would be whatever it is that, you know, stores bits and bytes of data in the mind. So the shadow self is a collection of memory which people basically bury. Now, so when you make that statement, you've got to have some mechanism that actually does this burying. So then, you know, so there's got to be some sort of instinct, or they've got to this, that, whatever.
The self.
Actually, what?
The Jung's theory of mind is built around the self. The self is the actor that builds all the other layers.
Okay. Nah, that's fucking completely wrong. Completely wrong.
I think that would be the only true aspect if you thought the theory was wrong, because the self just refers to the human being.
No, we can really express that more finely. So there's the anatomy, right? All the physical functionality. There's the brain. There's the senses. These are all very physical and real parts of the human phenomena, right? And we can actually describe everything related to behavioral aspects by using these attributes. Now, shadow self, right, is the part of the mind. That's an incorrect statement, because we're really talking about memory, right? At the end of the day, at the lower levels.
It's not just memory. It's also all instincts and behavior.
No. Hang on a minute. No. Listen to the statement as you said. Shadow self is the part of the mind, right? I say it's a chunk of memory.
It's the dark side of personality.
Yeah, like, well, Guru, you're the third wolf, aren't you? Okay, but hang on. So shadow self is the part of the mind. Now I say memory.
Which dark side.
All right, love. Hang on. Which people basically bury the unwanted aspects of the self. So you can see there you've got the unwanted aspects of the self. That is another set of data, basically. And basically what we're saying, we could probably rephrase it another way, the shadow self Well, it's not even a self. What's that? Oh, okay. Now roll a video tape. Where though? Is the unknown dark side of our personality dark both because it tends to consist predominantly of a primitive negative social and religiously deprecated human emotions, impulses. Yeah, see, fucking I know exactly what those things, and it's not this shit. Okay, good. I can explain all that. I can link that to my model. Okay, that's fine. Yeah.
You should write a book about your theory of mind.
I beg your pardon?
You should write a book about your theory of mind.
I already fucking have. It's really just the two wolf story. That's it. There's a binary state in humans that explains everything. Just like in computing, there's a binary state that explains everything, top to bottom. Every aspect of computing can be expressed in the binary language or the binary form. The same applies to humans. So I can take this information that these pricks are talking about, and I can relate it back to my model, and I can then report the behavioural aspects far more accurately than they can. And I don't know whether you've been hanging around the traps and watching me, but I'm extremely accurate. If you ever watch any of the videos that I've done lately, those that haven't been pulled down, yeah, but if you actually watch what I do, I fucking read people like a book, like an open book, and it's because of that two wolf story. But I still want to just think about this because I'm just getting myself prepared to fucking go to town on this shadow dude. I'm gonna fucking hunt him to the. I just cannot. Here's the biggest story, right? Jesus said this. He said about the scholars and the Pharisees had basically stolen the wisdom from the people and kept them themselves for political reasons. And that goes right through history, that sort of behaviour. Fundamentally, it's just people taking advantage of other people and for their own selfish things. And that's the baseline statement on, why we have such inequality in human society. And Jesus was 100% right. I mean, because when we come to the modern era, our scholars are failing us massively. This is fucking pathetic material. But if you actually dig into it, it starts to become a conspiracy theory because you find that most of the fuckers that do all this shit are Ashkenazi Jews. And that has a connection that goes all the way back to the bloody Pharisees. That's the heritage. So, and I can remember in one of the Nostradamus quatrains, it said something really interesting, that all the scholars would be fucking basically bankrupted. And why I say that with great comfort is, for fucking how long? Probably about 2,000 years. Everyone's been trying to fucking tell a true story on the Jesus story. And here's me down the track, and I've done it just on my own son. And what it reveals, though, when you actually understand what went on for religious, the fucking priestlyhood again and the scholars combined to suppress, the true story. And the true story is really, really simple, but it's very, very important to humans. It's how we actually live a good life, in every sense of the word. You cannot live a good life if you're living in your fucking ego head. Now, I know, Guru, that I'm not presenting like you, but I don't give a fuck.
That is okay. Present how you wish.
Oh, well, I do. That's what enlightened people do. We do what we choose. What's that?
I posted a link to an image. It is just a graph of Jung's theory of mind. It might help you organize your thoughts.
Well, no, I think I'm there, actually. What really helped was that statement you made, because it gave me, because now I can actually see the flaw. I mean, but, the choice I've got to make now is when I'm going to waste time, because if I front up to this fucking idiot, well, he's been running around, that prick, saying that he fucking wiped the floor with me. He didn't. I fucking cleaned him up. So, but I don't care. I'm not in it for the competition. But I'll still goad him and try and get him into a room, and then I'll fucking shame him live. And if he doesn't turn up, I'll claim victory.
Guru aware of his own shadow self?
Guru, Sandra wants to know, are you aware of your own shadow self?
That's why we do a regressive meditation.
No, I fucking know what meditation is. So tell me what meditation is.
Well, meditation is being present. Regressive meditation is being present within one's own mind.
Almost. It's kind of there. What meditation specifically is the state of non-thinking. That's it.
Acting out of character now?
Sandra's fucking. She said, "What did you say, love?"
Is he acting out of character now?
Are you acting out of character now, or are you yourself?
You mean my acting out of persona?
Yeah. I mean,
Is this relating to Jung's theory of mind?
No, it's
Your question.
related to your integrity. So you shouldn't teach without being true.
I agree.
I know you do, but that's fucking your cunning buggy.
He's using his dark side.
Yeah, you're using your dark side. Oh, no offense to our friends and family that have dark skin. Oh, okay, here we go. Let's see. I know that you're still avoiding that fucking answer, aren't you? But I know, so that's fine.
But I wasn't sure what you were asking. That's why I was making clarification statements.
I can't recall.
He's working on his dark side. He's out of character.
All right, love. You're turning into me, taking him to task.
That's the truth.
No. Look, I'm proud to see it in you, darling. Because one of your issues was sitting on the fence. Yeah, that's it.
Is she saying I'm working for my dark side?
Yes.
No, yeah, she is. Yes. She said very definitely you're working for your dark side.
That is an ignorant opinion.
Actually, and I know why you said that, because in your mind, you really, 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 really believe that you're putting yourself out to help me.
He's out of character.
But I'm afraid that's not the truth.
I don't think I'm putting myself out to help you.
Okay.
It was knowledge I easily had. That's why I came in and gave it to you.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I can't blow that up, my dear. How do we get that bigger? All right. Maybe I can read it. Fuck it. Can't read it. Oh, hang on. I know what to do, I think.
Yes, it's not a very good diagram. It is from Jung's book. It's a really small picture.
Yeah, well, fucking Jung. What I'll do is I'll go and check his heritage. There we go.
Has he done the self-test?
Hang on, love. Hang on. Now. So, oh, fuck me. Look at this crap. Jung's model of the psyche. As if a psyche exists. Psycho, more like. Shadow, ego, self. I can tell you, dude, I'm nearly done with this. Because you can get caught up in their bullshit. And I've got enough. You only need one element to fucking spoil it, and then it's done. So I'm going to have a look at this. So shadow, animus, anima, inner world, excuse me, outer world. Oh, listen, Guru. If you see a guy called Bulldog, tell him I'm going to 160%.
160? You mean 160?
Yeah, percent.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I've had that prick. It's like me. I'm going to be throwing him under a bus, but it's not me really. It's his own action, so I don't have any problems with it. Righto. Nah, I don't like this. You can stick it up your ass. Consciousness. Consciousness. Unconsciousness. Corrective. Personal. Unconsciousness. Self. Ego. Persona. I used to do Venn diagrams, but fucking hell, this mine were more on the money. So no, I don't like that. That didn't help at all. So what I need to do is I need to get this prick Carl Jung, and just see who Carl Jung is. Yeah, well, it's got some early thing. Fucking hell, it's got some bad signs. Carl Gustav Jung was born in Kessville in a Swiss canton. Now, you see this canton word? That's a problem. Of Thurgay on the 26th of July, the 2nd and 1st of Paul, Emily, blah, 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 was a wealthy professional man who taught Paul Jung as his professor of Hebrew. The fucking Jews again. I'm sorry, pardon me, Jewish people. Just the elite in the Jewish community are a problem. Yeah, okay. Well, so that's the problem. He came, and there's that Swiss connection too. So his work, I don't know why the hell it got accepted, because it's just so terrible. Probably there's nothing else around. But he's like, through history, there's a bunch of blokes that have done this. You've got Descartes, you've got, who's that dude?
Freud.
Yeah, Freud, I think, is guilty as charged. Oh, bloody hell. Look at this.
One second, I made a promise. Bulldog. Rob is at 160%.
Yes, that's right. Bulldog, I'm going to 160% on you. And, 160 is not 200, and maybe I can go to 1,000% if I want to. There'll come a point, it's almost like I get to a point where I get a gun and fucking come and shoot you. Only joking, maybe. But you think you're a fucking bulldog, mate. You have no idea what you're dealing with. Now, so I got a problem with his background. It sort of fits a profile that leads to some bad psychology. I'm just trying to think. There was another dude that I wanted to mention. What's that fucking prick's name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Yeah. No. Never mind. I know it. You don't. There. All right. So, hey, Guru, I'd like you to meet a dear friend of mine. Now, what he's saying, this is Bulldog, right? This is a guy, he's a bit of a sexual deviant. He asks boys to put their penises out on the internet, and we've got a video of that. You're not going to get there. I'll stop you. You fucking moron. I do. I'll keep you at bay. I'll chew your arm off, Rob. You don't have friends. Yes, I do. I'm getting more and more friends every day. And you know what? They're They're enlightened like me. So I got Lukey Dog, and you can't influence them. Yeah, enlightened people you can't influence. There's Lukey Dog, right? Because I spend time with people. Because I'm a good person, not like you pricks. And I help people. I got Rosie. Rosie, she's a good friend and she's enlightened. Got a little kid that's 14 years of age, and he's fucking enlightened. The guy that did the car racing stuff. And we have a fucking ball, and you guys know it because you watch us. Who else have I got as a good friend? Hey? Sega Geek, we're bringing him on and helping him, see? So where you pricks sit around and you torture and persecute people, you know, that thing you're going to jail for? Because you're fucking unfortunate you're in Australia, hey? Who? What? Yeah, you've been cheeky now, dear. Yeah, so who else? There's a little posse of us now. St. Tommy's sitting on the fence, fuck him, but I'll kick his ass till he doesn't. I was just thinking of Idol Smasher, but he's not really a friend. Because, you know, I go very strong against his religion. Hey, you know this guy called Rand Cam? I fucking whooped his ass. You know that guy Shadow? I whooped his ass, although he says otherwise, but I can fucking prove it. Anyway, there's plenty of things happening. Life's good. And we have great laughs, and it's not laughing at others. Oh, I forgot. The big man, Benny. Benny. Although we have a dispute going at the moment, we're still mates. Big time. And those friendships are really sincere and lifelong. Right? And they're really good friendships because we don't get in each other's fucking road. If one person wants to go somewhere, they just go. And we don't labour it, and we don't say, come here. It's not bullshit. I'm giving it to you straight. And by the way, Bulldog, I honestly mean this when I say you're fucked already. So no matter what happens to me, you're screwed. What happens, this karma shit's really real, when you come to the end of your life, unless you change your ways, right? You change your ways and you make a full confession, not in a fucking little box either. You got to go and confess to the people that you hurt. Unless you deal with that, what happens when you come to end of life? And if you think I'm fucking joking, just drop into an aged care and ask some of the palliative staff. And Curb, you'll know this. There's a group of people that have a really fucking hard go of it when they die, and they're the ones that have got these fucking egos that you pricks hang on to. And what happens, right, when they get to end of life, they're stuck in this, you know, case of a body, so you can't get out of it. You can't go back to fix anything because we don't have time machines. And you're sitting in this case of a body. You finally fucking get enlightened, right? But your fucking life's gone. You only got, you know, days or something to live. And Jesus said about this disturbance position, right? It's absolutely true. That's what happens. And so at that moment, you reflect on your life and all your things you've fucked up. And it's like a hell. It is like a hell because you can't get out of that mental prison. And then that's the way you leave this world for the last and only time. We only get one life. Now, a person that's enlightened like me, we don't have that sort of overhead or that shit to worry about. We're not scared of dying. That's why I'm going after Islam. I don't give a fuck. Islam needs to be gone. But the enlightened person, when they come to end of life, it's just like a flash in the pan moment. Because they go into that phase totally at peace because they haven't done anything really wrong in their life. Except kick some ego asses in the butt. And what's an ego anyway? Just nothing but thoughts. And so they go into that death phase. And see, my dad actually had the afterlife experience. and it's pretty real. He's not a bullshit artist. So what happened to him? Right, he's dead on the operating table. I hope you're not going la 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 la. I hope you're listening. He's dead on the operating table, and later on he told us. He said, "This is what happened." He had this glorious feeling of peace. It was just. He said it was just phenomenal. And he's not the kind of hairy fairy. He's a roof dweller, right? So he's not usually the type of hairy fairy. He just accurately reports. He happens to be enlightened, by the way. And so you can see the comparison. If you feed your life on ego, which is what you pricks do, that's the journey that you're going to get, I promise you. And you know what? I can even give you further evidence that I know what I'm talking about. Oh, sorry, and if you doubt what I'm saying about, people dying miserable, regretful death, just go to an aged care home, ask for the palliative nurse, and just say, you want to know a little bit about, the dying process, and is it true what Rob said about people with egos having a miserable death? I forgot what I was going to do. Oh, well, fuck it. It's only you turkeys. All right, here we go. So just want to read these out to the viewers. They're probably your posse, but I don't care. 140, you must be a pedo. No, John May, it was you that asked the young boys to pull their gherkins out, right? Not me. I wouldn't do anything like that because that's against the rules. I'm taking your house, Rob. No, you can't. Because when you get to court, you actually have to have evidence demonstrable. And your own person, John, is fucking evidence that you can't hide from. Bullshit. No. Hey, Guru, we've finally got some signs of justice. Bulldog's going, no. How does it feel, Bulldog? That's how you fucking tormented me, you pricks. So bullshit, no way, Jose. Jesus is bullshit. That's the theme that keeps coming up with you. That's something that you can't rest on. And then of course your typical style, you say, is Sandra caring for you, Rob? I'm not unwell. Just got a little husky throat and probably could do with an extra hour's sleep. So the Guru says she is next to him or was. Yeah, that's right. Rob, stop slurring. Yeah, that's because I've got my teeth out and I'm a bit tired, that's all. I can't understand you. Have you been drinking, Rob? No, I don't drink at all. I just don't. All right, Bulldog, let's see you put a public display on for the viewers. We've got 7 viewers, probably part of your posse. Oh! Hey, Guru, did I tell you about cognitive dissonance?
No, but I have heard you speak of it before.
Yeah, right. Well, what do you think happened then with Bulldog? Do you think that was cognitive dissonance?
I think he was done tormenting you.
I beg your pardon?
I believe he was done tormenting you.
No, you're wrong. I'm right. That was cognitive dissonance. Now, the way cognitive dissonance works, very specific about cognitive dissonance now. So what you have is a collection of false ideas about reality held in mind. That is all ego is. There's nothing else. That is what this thing called ego is. They also are stored, because of the nature of the way things work, they carry the true state of each of those false ideas. But it's the false ideas that are held in mind to represent the identity of the individual. If someone comes up to a person, right, and presents the true state very firmly, just like I did with Bulldog, Jesus, that's funny. Right. So if someone from externally presents the true state, what happens is this true state copy that's stored in memory recognizes this as a true state threat. And then the false state is brought into a fight for its life against this true state. And that is the very essence of the trigger for cognitive dissonance. There must be an error state in the first instance, must be. And that's actually really powerful, having knowledge of that. Now, what happens when these two ideas, the one coming from external and the internal error state, are held in mind? What happens is it triggers a fight-flight response, as the ego mind tries to save this notional idea of the self. And so you get, firstly, in the fight pattern, there are two components. One component's about aggressive, spitting, nasty, pasty, mean, ugly, sex, lots of sex in the context. You know, sprays of information towards the source of that's holding the truth. The second element of the fight response is a behavior where data is repurposed. So incoming truths are repurposed or completely ignored. And that can be improved time and time again. The next element is the face-saving phase. So this is where the person, after being a right nasty, mean old bitch, they will say something nice about themselves and then they'll want to exit, face-saving. The final stage is the flight response, and that's where the person nicks off. They run out the door. And that is the most accurate definition of something that's functionally provable of a thing called cognitive dissonance. Why is it so useful? Well, when you see these behavioral cues, the behaviors that come, on those last things, no, you're supposed to be a guru, right? We can talk about that if you wish to. But the one thing I wanted to just add is that why this is extremely powerful is that if you can actually identify that state, you can then very accurately say that the person that's reacting to, the information that's causing the cognitive dissonance has in mind a faulty state. So it's sort of like a way of watching for errors. And in spirituality, the story is about eliminating all errors so that we can become free and be the best we can be. So it all fits together. It just does.
Well, what you said agrees with that definition, with one exception, that there doesn't have to be a true state. There could be two false states.
No, that's incorrect. That's not possible. There can
That is an
only
ignorant opinion.
No, it's not. It's absolutely true. Let me try and explain why. Our senses collect data in a conceptual, well, not conceptual, real place in time, which is called the now. You can't go back in time to use the senses. You can't go forward. So the only point in time that you actually pull data in from the external environment is this thing called the now, infinitely small time slicer. It's also true to say that contextual information is also brought on board with that data that's coming in. So you've got this continual stream of data heading up to the brain. Right. Now, there are only two instincts engaged here. There's the survival instinct for the self, and then there's the herd instinct. Based on the context, the data will either come through clean, right, or it will. So there's only two options, and that's it. There isn't any more. The data will come through clean and accurate, or it'll come through biased based on this survival instinct. So this survival instinct for the self is the major problem for, peace and fucking all sorts of problems. So what happens is it reads the incoming data and then it repurposes it for its own agenda. And that's where we get a disconnect from reality and what's, and basically falsehood. So we're getting false data on board in memory. So we've got now false and true state. Now I've forgotten what I was going to say.
Yes, you can have true state, but you could also have two false states.
Okay. No,
and that can also create cognitive dissonance.
No, that's impossible.
No, it's not. You could see, for example, a blue stick, and you look at it and you say it's orange, and then you look back at it again and say it's white.
Yeah, but that won't cause cognitive dissonance.
Yes, it would.
No, it won't.
Because then I would ask you what color is that stick, and you would give me two wrong answers.
All right. Probably about time to do. I promise it's tonight, and we can actually, what you could do is grab your example and try and do it. It just doesn't fucking matter, because specifically, the self-survival instinct flavors things for the survival of the self, and then it sets out to protect it. And it's this flavoring that creates the error result, right? There are no other error results, right? It just isn't. There's only the one for each instant. The rest of the time, the data is true, and it's just passing straight through. So
cognitive dissonance has nothing particular to do with survival.
Absolutely, it does. Absolutely. Fight-flight pattern should tell you that the response is based on survival. That's what the fight-flight pattern is.
Yes, that is.
Hey?
That is, yes. But that is also not cognitive dissonance.
Well, yes, it is.
No, that is wrong.
No. Hang on. Let me try. Fucking intellectual teeth. What I'm saying is that the true-false state. The true-false state. The true-false state is the precursor to, is the thing that creates cognitive dissonance. So it's got to be about opposites, right? Contradictory positions. It just does. So you can't say two lesser false statements that are not related. That just won't work.
Yeah, but two false states can also be contradictory.
True false states. True-false states can be contradictory.
No, two false states can also be contradictory.
Example, again?
The stick being white and the stick being orange, when the stick is actually blue.
That's bullshit. Are you really that stupid?
That is an ignorant opinion.
No, yours is a fucking ignorant person. So let's just say it again, and I'll point out precisely where there are errors.
Seeing the stick as orange and then seeing the stick as white when the stick is actually blue.
Okay, so we're talking about just one stick for the whole experiment?
Yes.
So one stick, and the first observation is what?
The stick is orange.
No, the first observation. So is that the stick's orange, because the only way we get data on board is through our senses.
Yes.
So, yeah. So the observer sees an orange. So what changes are made to that stick to make it another color?
Nothing other than the guy looked away and looked back.
Huh?
Nothing other than the guy looked away and then looked back at the stick.
Yeah, but you still then have to explain why the change occurred.
You could say there's a problem with his mind.
So what you're saying is yes, but well, if then we would bring in 10 different subjects and see what the results were. So no, I'm going to stop you now because that's crap, and I'm getting a bit tired.
That is an ignorant opinion, but we can continue later.
Well, I'm not so sure we will, but I thank you for your contribution.
You are welcome.
Yeah, so what I'm doing now, Mr. Kirby, I'm actually going to play a game I'd like to call Super Nanny. And so I'm going to put people into naughty seats and just fucking leave them there, and maybe I'll never ever see them again. So I'm cranking it up to sort of the last step, and if people don't wake up to themselves, I'll just leave them to their own outcomes and just leave it at that. And then just next stop, say no to Islam, yes to Jesus. All right, dude. Catch ya.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye.